You'd like to see something strange. I don't know
Hey,
the rest
Kyle.
of the song. Oh, hey, what's going on?
How's it
Holy
going? Are you in a
techno.
spooky mood?
I'm in a spooky mood, spooky vibes. It's turning to fall here in northern Nevada. And
It is.
my neighbor actually has this like 8-foot tall Frankenstein monster, and it scares me every time I go to take the garbage can out.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm
I
convinced.
am in Seattle this week, and that's why I'm in an office and not in my usual home for this live stream.
Ah,
But it's much chillier here, and it feels like fall. New York was a little warm still, and I was like, it's all good. I get to wear my coat in Seattle this week, and then hopefully I get to go back to warm weather in New York.
yeah, I was just in DC. Actually, got back pretty late last night from DC, and I was hoping for like spooky foliage vibes.
Nope.
But no, I got hot and humid and some drizzle. And in fact, if you didn't catch the little sizzle reel that I put together, I was walking in the rain, singing in
A
the
little, I
rain.
feel like DC gives very muggy vibes. Like
It was damp,
it's
for
a
sure.
little, it like traps the humidity in Foggy Bottom or whatever the that area of town is called. And
Oh,
it feels like a
foggy,
marshmallow.
foggy bottom. My beard just was super poofy, so I was kind of like Chris Kringle, just
That's pretty
walking
awesome.
around with a giant.
Next time you can braid it. Keep
I'll
it
try
tan.
to just start looking like a pirate. Hey, speaking of pirates, did you know that throughout today's episode, we're going to be asking you, the audience, speaking of audience, hello, everyone.
Hi,
Where's
audience.
everyone coming in from today?
Let us know.
Throughout the next hour we have together, hour and a half, we're going to be asking you what Nick Betts, the producer of AWS On Air, should do live during AWS reInvent in Vegas. We're really looking forward to it because aside from just getting to humiliate him, there's some really cool ideas that we have, such as like a dance off with the S3 bucket mascot.
Yeah.
That's like a very popular mascot at reInvent.
I wonder, have you met a lot of the mascots at reInvent? Are there others, or is it just buckets?
I met myself, and I feel like I'm the mascot for something. I don't know what yet. So maybe if in the chat you guys can identify me as what am I a mascot of? Which, by the way, if you haven't met Gigi and myself before,
Maybe we introduce ourselves.
yeah, I'm Kyle Dickinson. I'm a senior security solution architect that focuses on threat detection and incident response. Also, for some reason, they gave me a microphone and access to the internet to you all, the fantastic audience. But I like to help make security a very approachable topic through shows like AWS On Air Lockdown, but also the security segments during our conferences, such as Reinforce, reInvent, our tech summits. But hey, I'm definitely not the coolest person in the room. Gigi, please introduce yourself.
I'll introduce myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Gigi Behringer. I am a senior product manager here at AWS. During the day, I often am working on new features for Amazon WorkSpaces Core. And in all of my free time, I'm trying to get more airtime on AWS On Air. So you'll find us at reInvent, and we'll be not only talking about our own stuff, but then also talking on AWS On Air to other product managers that have launches coming up, which is going to be such a fun week. It's the first week of December this year, so it feels a little more Christmassy, a little less like hangover from family time, and a little more.
Yes, that's why we have those.
So I'm really amped for reInvent this year.
I am too. I have a couple sessions putting on some really cool stuff. You could search Kyle Dickinson in the session catalog. They actually just updated that to where you could look at sessions that I have. I actually am doing a chalk talk about ransomware and how it impacts data residing within AWS.
Very nice. I also have a chalk talk. It'll be about migrations for your end user computing workloads. You can look up Gigi Behringer.
Spelled like that.
Spelled like that, not that.
Not on there.
And it'll be a good time. But come find us while you're at reInvent. Looks like we have a few viewers that are coming with us to reInvent. So if you haven't gotten your ticket, it's time.
And high five to Rancor, bro, for just passing their AI practitioner today. Congratulations on that. Rancor, as in like the creature from the space movies, because I got like 5 of them right there, if that's the case.
Oh, that is
Right there.
something I know
Yep.
nothing about. But you know what I do know about is you'll see in the chat, we're getting a lot of pings from Tina. She's one of our moderators from the AWS side. Shout out to Tina. She's new. We love her. We appreciate her. And she's going to be talking with you all day while we're on here.
She's not a bot.
She's definitely not a bot. She's definitely real.
Nick's still to be determined, but
Yes.
no, Tina's the real thing. But hey, so let's go ahead and just do a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about today, and then we'll just dig into it.
Let's do it.
So there was a bunch of words that Nick dubbed over me when I was doing my little sizzle reel, but it looks like we were doing Amazon RDS for MySQL data and Amazon Redshift with Zero-ETL. That sounds like a lot of wordy things. But I know that there's a lot of folks out there that are going to be very interested in hearing about this, because it sounds like it's going to make, well, like most feature releases, lives a lot easier when doing things with data. At least that's what I gathered from it. I oversimplify things too, though.
I think that's fair. I think, you know, who we need to bring on to learn more about it, though, is
maybe
our
the experts.
Yes. But before we bring on our experts, we have a bunch of shows in addition to AWS OnAir. We didn't really say what AWS OnAir is, so let's just do a brief overview. AWS OnAir is our weekly Friday show where you can learn about new product releases, recent product releases from product managers, and people that surround the release in general. So sometimes it's a partner, sometimes it's an AWS PM, sometimes it's a solutions architect, but it's experts on the product release, and we get to just ask them questions and learn along with the audience. What else do we have on this channel, though, Kyle?
Well, we have a handful of shows that go specifically into topics at a deep level, such as security. So I mentioned we have AWS OnAir Lockdown with yours truly, where we focus on the topic of security and making security a very approachable subject for all skill levels, from you just learned what AWS is to you probably work for one of our biggest customers. It's really meant to be a fun, engaging way to learn security from AWS subject matter experts within like the service teams, going deeper into different features, but then also we'll pick a topic that's actually recommended by the community saying, I want to know how to do incident response or something like that, and we'll run through it. So we have that. We have startups with Jillian, which is actually right before lockdown, where she's focusing on helping startups build on AWS and the different resources that startups can leverage. And then, of course, how can we forget someone near and dear to us, Art, with Under the Hood.
Is it Art?
It is Art.
We have Under the Hood with Art, which is deep dives with service teams to see what's really going on, which I think it's a nice way to say, oh, I learned about something on AWS OnAir. I want to learn a lot more about it. Let me go hang out with Art during the week.
Facts. Yeah, I love partnering up with Art and co-hosting with him. I always get the disappointed dad vibes when I just bust out all my awesome jokes.
Yeah, that actually resonates. I feel like I say something, you know, a little off the cuff, and he's like, what are you doing? Anyways.
But that's not it. We have 2 others, maybe 3 others. We have Game Day with AM, who's the hostess with the mostest. And last but certainly not least, we have a sports show. For some reason, they gave Nick a show. The guy that doesn't know how to hit buttons, they gave him a show, and they're like, hey, you know sports. Let's do sports. It's actually really fascinating.
So cool, though.
On how these different sports organizations are using AWS technologies to make watching sports and stats and just the amount of data that flies around figuratively and literally so cool. During a sports match of your choice come to life. So it's actually really cool.
It's so cool. And it's actually my favorite thing to tell friends when they're like, what does AWS do anyways? And I'll be like, well, you know, all of the graphics for that sports game, not episode, sports game that you watch, that
sports
TV
ball episode
of that like live sports thing. All the graphics and all of the real-time data analytics are run by AWS, and that's why you see us in the corner.
Yep. Just watching a hockey game, I'm just like, hey,
that's us.
We work for them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, without further ado, because Nick is getting impatient,
it's time.
Let's go ahead and bring on our guest to talk about Amazon RDS for MySQL data and Redshift with Zero-ETL. Let's bring them on. Nick, hit the button. Fancy transitions. Awesome people arrive. Friends, go ahead and feel free to introduce yourselves and what you do real quick, and then we'll dive into what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay, yeah, I can start. Hi, everyone. I'm Jim. I've been at Amazon now for about 12 years, and I'm a principal product manager with RDS, which is our relational database service.
I feel like I'm outnumbered by product managers 2-to-1 by now.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
A little more than that. Yeah.
Oh no.
And this is Gopal. I'm from the Amazon Redshift. I'm a principal engineer here.
Very nice.
See, engineer, security person, 2 PMs. All right, so I'm not
1-to-1.
I'm still, yeah.
You're safe.
We got to divide and conquer. All right, so what is all these terms? So real quick, for those that aren't familiar with the terms like ETL or NoSQL or RDS, just, you're sitting at the dinner table with your family and you're trying to explain what it is you do for work.
Okay, I think we can maybe start with what RDS is. So RDS stands for Relational Database Service, and what AWS is all about is making it easy for you to do things in the cloud. And what RDS is making it easy for you to actually, set up and manage a database in the cloud. Okay, and then I think then a few years later we introduced Amazon Redshift, and Redshift is about making it easy for you to set up and manage a data warehouse in the cloud. And I can talk about, how a database and a data warehouse is a little bit different, and we'll go over that in the demo. And then when we talk about, the feature that we're working on, it's called Zero-ETL. And what that means is zero, meaning we want to make it super easy and, super simplified. And then the ETL is an industry term, which stands for extract, transform, load. And it sounds complicated, but all it really means is the ability to get data out of one system into another. So what Zero-ETL is about is making it super easy to get data out of, let's say, a database and into a data warehouse. So ETL is just an industry term for shipping data across systems.
Amazing. And you as a PM do what for RDS exactly? Can you give us a 30-second brief?
Sure, yeah. So we work on new engines. So for example, I worked on, we had a partnership with IBM to release IBM DB2 as a new database engine for use in the cloud. So that's a recent one. But these days, for the last year or so, I've just been focused on Zero-ETL and making it easy to get data out of RDS databases so that customers can use it for other stuff.
That's awesome. That's a big rock. When you think about small, medium, large rocks, that's a really big rock.
Yeah. Yeah. What we saw is that, you have RDS and you have other systems, but then we're kind of like the connective glue between those systems. And so it's a little bit different than working on just RDS alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I got to say thank you for that wonderful explanation, because I just learned what actually ETL stands for. I thought it was like easy transformation language. Nope, totally wrong. And I will admit it. So, so we have this new feature, and it's solving a problem. Why do customers want to use like data pipelines or ETL pipelines?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question. So the general problem is you have data in one place in your business, and you need it, and you need to use that data in another system, right? And like I said, the way that customers do it today is they'll create what are called ETL pipelines. It's a lot of engineering. It's typically a lot of work and a lot of technical expertise to set these things up. And so the problem that we're solving is making it super simple so that someone can literally set it up with a few clicks, which is what I'll show in the demo today. Mm-hmm. So we're taking something that would have taken months, possibly a year of planning and effort, and really reducing it down to something you can set up in a few minutes. And it's not just the setup part. The other problem that we're solving is once you actually have these data pipelines, getting data from one system to another up and running, there's also a lot of work just to make sure that they're working and still working. Like if there's bad data that comes through, or if things change in your database, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So it's really that kind of ongoing maintenance and the ongoing operations. That's really where I think customers are super excited about the fact that the Zero-ETL is zero, simplified setup and simplified operations.
That's awesome. I think we need one more intro and then we should get into the demo. Gopal, do you want to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background?
Yes, I think I'm Gopal and a principal engineer with Amazon Redshift. And I have been involved with Zero-ETL from the start. And as of now, like we have made a lot of Zero-ETLs available today in the market to start with our Amazon Aurora MySQL, Amazon Postgres, and the RDS, which Jim just explained. Then very soon, DynamoDB is also going to be available. It's already in the public preview. And yes, like there are some other integrations, Zero-ETL integrations with OpenSearch as well, like DynamoDB, 2S3, and DocumentDB. All are going to be available very soon for customers to use.
That's awesome. So we're expanding this use case to all sorts of different entry points, all sorts of different landing points. And the point is, how can we, and this is something I feel like I say this every episode, AWS is constantly looking for how can we make customers' lives easier and, see what our customers are doing and simplify it and give them either more managed option or a simplified fault tolerant type option. And I think this really fits that bill where you guys are working to just make the processes simpler for something we see customers are doing in between all sorts of different beginning and endpoints.
Yes, I mean, we don't want customers to be focusing anymore on creating these pipelines because AWS is taking care of them, and then they can really focus on the real business use case which they want to solve.
So would it say it's fair to say that these pipelines also scale based on how much data is getting thrown at it?
Yeah, we designed it to support, high scale, high throughput workloads. So even if you have, let's say, a database that's supporting one of your, key business applications, and there's a lot of data that's being, written to that database, we make sure that that data gets replicated into, the right place. In this case, we'll talk about how it gets replicated into Redshift.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, which is why I'm kind of excited to show the demo. It's like we can talk about Zero-ETL, and then once you see it, like, oh, okay, well, why isn't it that simple all the time? Yeah.
I think that's the perfect transition. Can we dive into this demo? I want to see.
But first, we need to do the demo dance.
Okay.
Are you going to do it?
10 out of 10 times that we have not done the demo dance, the demo goes, so demo dance.
Demo dance.
All right. Okay. Okay, so I do have I have a screen sharing here.
Yep.
So in this demo, I'm going to talk about kind of 3 systems that we're going to be showing. One is RDS for MySQL, which is our source database. So you can think of this as your business, you have an e-commerce application, you have some other application that's writing data to a database. You would use, RDS, for example. The second system is Redshift. This is, the team that Gopal's on. And what Redshift is a data warehouse. And so you have a bunch of databases, and a business will have dozens or possibly hundreds of these databases. And then typically you're going to ship that data into a data warehouse where it can all be combined and aggregated and analyzed. So that's kind of the power of a data warehouse, is it can analyze petabytes of data, very with high performance and pretty cost effectively. And then once your data's in the data warehouse, in order for people to actually run reports and actually make business decisions off of it, they'll usually set up something like, in this case, AWS QuickSight is just a dashboard tool. So in this demo, I'll show how we have a QuickSight dashboard that connects to a Redshift data warehouse in order to show kind of a business report. But the key of this is really about Zero-ETL integration. So we're going to put data in. We're actually going to create a database over here, right? Create tables in the database, and then use Zero-ETL integration in order to automatically replicate that data and those changes into Redshift. And then once it's there, then we'll show that, it shows up in QuickSight. But this process right here, this first arrow is where, what I was mentioning, it usually takes months, sometimes a year or so for a very technical team to actually implement and do it reliably and at scale. This is what we're going to literally be showing in a few minutes there. Okay, so that's a lot of introduction, and in order to actually load the tables and create the data in here, this is pretty standard for like a database administrator to do. They'll actually define the tables. So this is just a very pre-written these scripts. So this is just going to create 20 different tables in that database. Then we're going to use SQL, which is kind of the language to work with databases, to actually insert a whole bunch of sample data in there. Okay, and then I have a bonus, which is we're going to load additional records, and I'll show that as part of the demo. Okay, so that's kind of the setup, and so I want to kind of work backwards from what is the payoff, and what we're trying to do here is there's this order dashboard which I created. So this is a QuickSight dashboard that's connected to Redshift, and right now if I were to refresh it, you can see that it's broken. Okay,
or you don't have any orders coming in.
Yeah, and it actually says it can't even find the table. So right now, if we go to Redshift, we'll see that there are no tables in Redshift. So it's looking for inside this, I made a little database called Twitch demo in Redshift. It's looking under here, Zero-ETL schema, and you can see there's 0 tables. Mm-hmm. So the goal here is, well, let's actually get the data into Redshift. And so I'm going to create the data in my actual original source database and start loading data into it, and then we'll just see it automatically flow into Redshift. So let's do that. Okay. So let me okay, so I have I'm just going to use a command line here. So this is actually a command line into my MySQL database, and I'm going to I'm going to create the tables. Okay, and so this is running that script that I showed you before, where it creates the 20 different tables. Let's go into Redshift, and let's refresh. And you kind of see, let's see if it shows up. And you see, okay, 10 of the tables have come through. So it typically takes about 12 to 15 seconds for it to be replicated. But what's neat is it's doing it in real time, or near real time. And you can see, okay, so now all 20 tables are over. We haven't loaded sample data yet. We'll just do a quick check here and the QuickSight dashboard. And you can see now it actually shows up, the error went away. It found the table, but says no data. And we can verify that if you go into Redshift, if you run a query just to find all the rows for all the orders, you can see that we have right now 0 orders. Okay, so we have no data in the tables, but we've created those 20 different tables, and you can kind of see these are the tables that we defined in that script. They made it over to Redshift, and here's the orders table. And then as we're replicating the database tables from the RDS database into Redshift, these are 2 different systems, and they support different features. And part of what Zero-ETL does is we'll translate from one system to another. So Redshift might have different data types. I'll give an example. So in MySQL, you might have data that's stored as what's called like a date time field, and in Redshift we'll translate that into a timestamp field, for example, right? So we'll do all the automatic translation between these 2 systems, so that's pretty much seamless for customers. Okay, so I so far have created the tables. So let's actually just load up let's just load up the data source. This is load data. This is that script that loads whatever the records are. Okay, and we can jump straight to QuickSight. Let's see what it pulls from Redshift.
While you're refreshing that, I don't think the chat understands how you just achieved the impossible by not mistyping live during a demo.
Truly.
That is like a badge of honor for doing a live demo on a live stream. So
Yeah.
The dance has
congratulations.
worked.
I just hope that's not premature. I still have a few minutes to mess up.
Well, now that I mentioned it, it's just going to probably tank now. But hey,
That's right.
That's
We
the
made it
fun
this
part.
far. That's all that
Okay.
matters.
So,
Yes.
so you saw I refreshed it. It didn't pick it up yet. Like I said, it takes about 12 to 15 seconds.
Uh-huh.
And here we go. So here's the 48 orders in that sample. And
Honestly, this is so rewarding to see like the step-by-step updates.
yeah, so it's pretty cool, right? So we put data in an actual, database that, a business was using for one of their applications. In this case, like e-commerce application, we automatically got the data into the data warehouse where it can now be analyzed alongside all the other data from other databases in that business. Okay, and then as a little bonus, I thought it would be kind of fun to just do one more, which is load 400 more orders. Okay, so you can kind of see it loading into MySQL. It'll show up in Redshift, but it's even easier just to check here. So we'll refresh.
And while that's
They're coming in.
refreshing, for those that are wondering what it is that we're actually looking at, QuickSight is a way to visualize data and create dashboards and fancy widgets like this that we're looking at.
That's right. Yeah. So you create these dashboards, and then you just kind of connect it to, in this case, we're connecting it to our Redshift data warehouse where all of that data is being analyzed and stored. So you can kind of see I just added 400 new orders, and so data that would have been locked up inside of that original RDS database because it wasn't being analyzed. We can quickly get it to a place called Redshift where it can be analyzed, and then we can use QuickSight to make it easy for someone who's not technical to understand and make business decisions. And then I want to spend just maybe 2 minutes here. So I did the demo of like, well, we have a Zero-ETL integration. It was already working. I wanted to show how easy it is to actually set this up.
Yeah,
So
I can give you 4 minutes.
Oh, 4 minutes. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you do is if you're using RDS, so let's say you're using the AWS Management Console to manage RDS, your databases and your other resources in the cloud. On RDS here, on the left-hand menu, you can see we added a new item here called Zero-ETL integrations. So if you click on that, it gives you a little intro and all that. And all you have to do is create Zero-ETL integration, okay? And there's really 3 steps. Step 1 is we create a name for it. So I'll just say Twitch demo 2, okay? And you can give an optional description, okay? Step 2 is we have to select what's the source, where are we pulling that data from? And in this case, I'm going to just browse. And when you browse, it'll filter out and only show you ones databases that we support. And the requirement for your MySQL databases, which is a particular type of database engine, is it needs to support version 8.0 or above. Okay, so we filter that out. And in this case, I have one database that matches that. So you pick your source. And then you also have an option, if you want, you can also customize and add filters. So you can say, include these tables, but not exclude these other tables. An example of that might be, include my orders information, but don't include the password table, right? Don't include the private information, or don't include these system tables. So you get to choose what data you really want to pull over from your original source database into the data warehouse.
And also, I think it's very easy once you have created the integration. Like if in future you want to add the newer tables or exclude some existing tables, you can do the modify of the existing tables.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Very sleek.
Yeah, and what would be the next step after that?
So step 3 then is, well, we chose the source, where we're pulling it from, and then now it's like, well, where are you going to put it into? And today we support, Redshift as a target. We're also working on additional targets as well. So there's a lot of exciting news here that we're hoping to be able to share very soon. But for now, you can pick a Redshift data warehouse, and it can either be in the same AWS account or even in a different AWS account. What we find is in a typical business, you might have, one team, the business team using one AWS account, and then the actual data analytics team using a different AWS account. But you browse here, select select your target.
And then you just click on next, and you could add tags and encryption, which is pretty
Yep.
self-explanatory. And then
that's it.
and
then
it's created.
then when you click on that, it does take about 35 minutes for us to do that initial setup and create, bootstrap all the systems. But the thing that, for someone who's been working in the space, the reason why customers appreciate it is just, this is like night and day difference from compared to like what you would do if you didn't have this feature, because you would literally be spending, months trying to, write all that software to
really makes such a big impact. That's amazing. Yeah. We have overstayed our welcome.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
But where can people find more information on this if they are excited?
Yeah, just search for AWS Zero-ETL, and you can find the Zero-ETL integrations that we support. Go to the RDS documentation, and we have blogs, and we can provide it to anybody who's asking or can't find.
Okay. Cool. Amazing. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
This was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.
So much. Bye.
That was great.
I learned a lot about data.
You learned what ETL means, and that alone is a big step.
It really is. But hey, there's more coming this hour.
Oh, yeah.
Which is this awesome survey. Take the survey. Make Nick do funny things at reInvent.
Yes, we have a survey. Please fill it out. We want to know what you want to see Nick doing at reInvent. We want to know what you like about our show. We want to know what you want to see on our show.
Yeah, what can we be doing better?
Seriously. Makes a big impact. Fills up Nick's weekends. Very important for him to have something to do this weekend.
It really is.
Please fill out the survey.
All right. Now, coming up next, an awesome segment of NVIDIA and SageMaker. Let's hit it.
Hey, thanks for the intro. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Jasmine. I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Hey, Jasmine.
doing well.
How's it going?
All is good. I'm excited to talk with you today. So, LAU, Sarab, tell me about what it is that you're doing and what fun things we have today.
Yes, sure, Jasmine. So thank you very much. My name is Elio Triana. I work on the NVIDIA Amazon team, and today we are so excited to work with Saurav and the SageMaker team on bringing NIMs to customers. So we will discuss about NIMs. We will discuss about the NVIDIA software offerings and how you can use it on SageMaker.
All right, Sarab, your turn. We need to know what NIMs are. So LAU has already given us a little preview. What's going on?
Yeah, Saurabh here. I'm product manager for SageMaker Entrance, and I drive partnership with the Elliot and team here, and excited to discuss furthermore about SageMaker integration with NIMs.
Awesome. So what is NVIDIA NIMs? And, talk about how we're on SageMaker. What sets it apart?
Yep, absolutely, Jasmine. So NVIDIA NIMs, we have been working on optimizing inference. So that's all we do is making sure that you can get the best performance, the best latency, the best throughput, the best accuracy for your models running on AWS SageMaker, on AWS GPU platforms. So the way we have been doing is making sure that the software plays an important part of the role. It's not just the GPU, it's how you combine the right GPU with the right techniques and the right libraries and the right software. And that is exactly what NIMs come into play. But before that, I want to just show the screen, if you may, because either way, we will be helping any enterprise customer and any AI startup to make sure they can get optimized, they can get the best performance wherever they are in their AI journey. So if they are using optimizing or inference or Gen AI workloads, we will be helping across the entire journey from data acquisition, data curation, pre-training, model customization, information retrieval, inference, and guardrails. So wherever you are in the journey, there is a tool from NVIDIA that will be helping out of that performance. So for all of these steps, there will be a piece of software, including NeMo and including NIMs, that are the one that we are going to talk about today. So let's go about NIMs. NIMs is a container that includes the state-of-the-art performance. So you bring your model, could be Llama, or could be NVIDIA BioNeMo, or could be any other model that you have available. So you bring this model and you wonder yourself how you can run the best performance, the best inference for that model. So instead of going techniques by techniques or doing like a pretty heavy job in terms of understanding what technique apply, if it's batch size or sparsity or latency or accuracy, whatever technique you are trying to achieve, you just bring the container with the state of the art, you deploy it, and it's like at runtime. So this is the state of the art for performance, and we are excited to bring it to SageMaker. So I want to just let Saurabh talk about how we can do it on SageMaker, why for SageMaker it's important to run NIMs, and then we can proceed with the demo.
Sounds good. Thanks, Elliot. And so Jasmine, just for context, right? Like SageMaker is AWS's fully managed capability for customers to build, train, and deploy machine learning models. I specifically focus on inference, and within inference, like we have a suite of options that we give our customers to run their models, ranging from real-time inference, asynchronous inference, and serverless inference. So with NIMs that Elliot just spoke about, what our customers would be able to do is like kind of pick one of the NIMs that's being offered from NVIDIA and deploy it on SageMaker in any of these options to get the best price performance when doing inference with GenAI.
Nice. So it's kind of, you just pick it up and run it in SageMaker. So we know that saves time and it creates efficiency, but what strategies are used to monitor like performance and manage costs in there? Is that built in as well?
Yeah, so with SageMaker Inference, we have something called as model monitoring, right? Like, so for any model that's running on SageMaker Inference, like customers would be able to kind of set up model monitoring jobs, monitor the performance of those models, and kind of retrain the models if needed, if they've kind of drifted and things like that, right? Like, so with NIMs, like what customers get is NVIDIA software for deploying these models, and when they're running this on SageMaker Inference, like we kind of optimize multiple layers of stack, right? Like we give a faster auto scaling, we give you price performance by running multiple models on the same endpoint. And then we have a broad suite of options in terms of the number of instances that you can choose to deploy these models.
Yeah, nice. I love hearing about all of the features that are happening here, as well as the optimizations that customers get to make. And they kind of have this, at their fingertips, but I would love to see a demo.
Yeah, let's have Aman, who's going to drive the demo. And Elliot, thanks for joining. And we can probably bring up Aman on stage.
Thanks, Elliot.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Jasmine.
Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Let me quickly introduce myself. So I'm Aman. I'm a specialist GenAI essay on the machine learning frameworks training and inference team. Super. I've been playing around with NIMs for a while on SageMaker and EKS. So super excited to show you all a demo. Let me quickly bring up my screen here. Awesome. So today, I'm going to show you how to deploy a NVIDIA NIM for the 405B model, which is the biggest Llama model available right now. So it's a Llama 3.1. And essentially, I'm going to run you through a SageMaker notebook that, and you can find this notebook on the Awesome Inference GitHub repository that we have and that we maintain actively. So your first step essentially is to have an NGC CLI API key. And the way you do that, like Elliot mentioned, is you have an enterprise account on NGC Hub, and you create that NGC CLI API key, and you pass it in to your notebook as an environment variable. And then once you do that, you can set your IAM policies. So at the bare minimum, you need all of the IAM policies that are listed here. All of these pertain to pulling the relevant images from ECR, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, and then building those images. When you do something like this in production, please keep the principle of least privilege in mind, especially while defining new IAM policies and roles. Now, when it comes to setup, other than the roles, you'd need to install a few packages to be able to use SageMaker appropriately. First, you install Boto3 and any other dependencies so that you can set up correctly. Now, in this notebook, we walk you through how to set up both the Boto3 session and client for so that you can make the relevant Python API calls. And then also your user and role configuration along with region, and then your SageMaker session, obviously. And then lastly, for setup, we set these environment variables. And so this includes your CLI API key, like I mentioned before, but it also includes the model name that you want to pull from the NGC hub, and then also the SageMaker model name that you want to give. So at a very high level, you would use something called SageMaker endpoints to deploy your NIM onto your required hardware configuration. Now, in this example, we deploy the 405B NIM onto a single P5.48x large instance. Now remember, SageMaker endpoints are fully managed, so the infrastructure side is fully taken care of as long as you specify it while configuring your deployment. Now, your first step is to pull the image from the ECR repo. As you can see on your screen right now, we have we've defined a bash script that you can run. And all of this bash script, all it does is it takes care of the model pulling for you. And once the model image is pulled, you would then need to push it onto your own private ECR repository so that it is referenceable from the rest of your notebook and from the rest of your code. Now, one thing to note here is to make sure that your image is named correctly. You can check out NVIDIA's NIM page to check out all of the supported NIMs that NVIDIA has made available. And additionally, you can also check our ECR repository for the right nomenclature. And of course, you can print the NIM image as well if you want to. And then the last step is to actually deploy your SageMaker endpoint. Now, in addition to the NIM definition itself, there's a couple of things that you need to change, mainly because the 405B model is ginormous and it actually requires some additional memory and additional time to get loaded into memory. So the first thing you change is the NIM timeout value. Again, you don't need to change this for any of the other models, but since the 405B model takes some extra time to get loaded into memory, we can increase the timeout to 3,600 seconds. And then you can also increase the max tokens, which is the number of output tokens. Yeah. And then, of course, you can use the SageMaker.create model API call to actually create that model. And then once that model is created, you can then create your actual endpoint, or you can go on to actually configuring your endpoint. And this is where you actually specify your deployment parameters. So specifically, you define your instance type, the number of instances that you want to deploy your model onto, and of course, any other parameters like the SageMaker timeout, so that you're not constrained by timeouts. Like I said, we've noticed that the last two steps together take around 40 minutes to run. Again, this is probably because of the size of the model. But one more thing I'd like to talk about is how NIMS is actually configured to run on your specific hardware. So what happens behind the scenes is there's something called sweeps that get run. And depending on your hardware, NIMS chooses which configuration to run. And configuration is just in my opinion, a very fancy term for flags that you pass into TensorRT LLM. Since TensorRT LLM is the backend that's running for NIMS. So NIMS automatically chooses the most efficient and the most optimized image to run in the backend for you. And then once complete, you can see two things. First, you see that the SageMaker model is created. And second, you see the SageMaker endpoint is created.
So I'd like to also chime in here that once the endpoint is ready, right, like the infrastructure behind the endpoint is fully managed by SageMaker. And then the model itself, the model weights, as well as the model container is something that you get from NIMS already optimized by NVIDIA. So with this, like to run the model, like customers would get the kind of the best price performance on the infrastructure side coming from SageMaker, and then an optimal performance coming from NVIDIA. Because these NIMs are already optimized for a given model.
Yeah, and to that point, let me just quickly show you the model that's created, and also, so if you go to your SageMaker console, you can see the model, which I just showed, and you can also see the endpoint configuration that's created.
Yeah, so that means that customers are getting to deploy these state-of-the-art LLMs in minutes and not days, right? It doesn't take days to get something spun up.
Exactly. So like I said, the 405B model takes around 40 minutes, and that includes choosing the best configuration for you as well.
That's just for the infrastructure to get set up, right? Like, but Jasmine, customers do save time in terms of trying to figure out things, trying to figure out where the model is, which is the best parameter, where like setting up the infrastructure, right? Like in terms of how do you club together a bunch of EC to create a service that's able to host a model. So customers won't have to do that. It's just like few steps that they need to follow, and they'll get an inference endpoint to get running with it.
Nice. And as we're moving through this demo here, what are the types of customers that are using this for? Like, what are they building?
Yeah, so like NIMS is kind of a broad suite of options in terms of the models that they've curated, right? They have models from ranging from Llama to some of the biotech models to some of the drug discovery models. So yeah, I mean, we've seen like customer interest across like all the spectrum that of NIMS that NVIDIA offers. And as Aman is sharing, like we have an ECR repository where NVIDIA is kind of putting the containers for AWS customers to quickly use that ECR repository to deploy the models on SageMaker with keys from NGC.
Yeah, nice. So a variety of use cases are already supported, and there's some documentation in there if you need to get a project idea of, oh, can I do this? And someone might have already started on it.
Yeah, so we have like a launch blog and a technical blog that we've kind of published about how this can work end to end for customers who are already familiar with SageMaker or not familiar with SageMaker, as well as the same goes with NIMS. You can just follow along the blog step by step, and it also has the notebook that Aman is mentioning here, and you can kind of pick any of the NIMS that's offered and deployed on SageMaker.
Okay. Awesome. Aman, anything to leave us with? We're going to come back and come to a close here.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say the beauty of NIMS and by extension, there's these notebooks is that all you need to do is essentially just change the model name that you import or the image name that you pull and the infrastructure that you want to run on, and you should be able to run all of these out of the box sizes.
Nice. I really like that. Being able to give customers something out of the box and say, hey, get going. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Aman. That was great.
Sounds good. Thanks.
We'll have Eliud come back.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Just a close call to action is let's make sure that you can use NIMS on SageMaker, that they can get to nvidia.com and use it there, or come to SageMaker and use NIMS. We'll be happy to help.
And we'll paste the blogs and the documentation on this integration in the chat.
Yeah, they'll be here in the chat, and then let us know if you have more questions for NVIDIA along the way. Eliud, I heard that you're in the AWS marketplace for the NVIDIA AI Enterprise, so that's one of my favorite places to send customers, so we'll have those links all up for you and where to go next to get started. Sarab, Aman, Eliud, thank you. This has been so fun. I learned a lot. Let's see how we're using NVIDIA NIMS on SageMaker.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jasmine. Thanks for
guys.
Yep.
Hey, Kyle.
My standing desk is having technical difficulties. Here we go. Haha.
You're back.
Technology, I'm back. That was a really cool segment about machine learning models. And whenever I hear of Llama, I always think of the book Llama Rip Pajama.
Yeah. That's actually
again,
but I love it.
Simple human.
That's awesome. So that was awesome. They're in marketplace. That's even more awesome. I love when our partners offer, whatever they're doing in marketplace, because
especially with what NVIDIA is doing with AI, it's really cool.
Yeah,
I've done a couple segments with them where they were transposing. Actually, named he was able to transfix a alien and do a live stream, and so I changed his name to Tofu. That's a deep cut right there too.
That's a good name.
Yeah, so I named an alien Tofu.
So now I get to be really excited because we're going to bring on a close partner of mine for my product. We're going to learn about what Citrix has released for their general availability of Citrix DaaS for Amazon WorkSpaces Core. I think we should bring him up and get going because we're a little tight on schedule.
Let's do it because there's an awesome release, and I believe you had a lot of hands in it, and you're going to be doing a demo.
Yes.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
I am hosting and guesting today and demoing.
Oh,
happy to be here.
Knock, knock.
Let's do it.
You're supposed to say who's there.
Oh, I am? I thought he
Knock,
was...
knock, knock, knock.
I thought you were going to say knock, knock, and then it was going to go doo-doo-doo-doo
Knock, knock.
and do the
Who's there?
transition.
Interrupting transition slide.
Yeah. All
Interrupting
right, well,
transition slide. Oh, come on. And
I
he
do need
was
to learn the knock,
still
knock protocol. I think we're waiting
there.
for our friend Todd. Hey, Todd. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
You
Hey,
too.
You have
We-
a lovely green room back here. Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome place to hang out. Like,
very comfortable in your own home of the green room.
Yeah.
You've
Did
got
you
some greenery to
did
make
Nick
extra
adhere
room.
to your rider for like the green M&Ms and Skittles?
you did
Take out all the red
pineapple on
ones?
pizza though? I don't know.
Oh, see, we put that in all of the green rooms just to test people.
It's to
I
suss
feel
them out.
like I have
Yeah.
to be in the right mood
Hot.
for it. I think it kind of depends on what beverages are being served.
Interesting.
So
Pineapple on
it's-
pizza maybe doesn't go well with red wine.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't want the
We'll just have to
acid in
find out.
there. So
It's too much. Okay, Todd, let's get a quick intro and then let's get into it.
awesome. Todd Trebeek from Citrix. I'm the managing director of strategic alliances for us. So I manage our partnerships, and specifically, my biggest one for a while here has been working with AWS on the new release of our desktop as a service offering for Amazon WorkSpaces Core. So we're thrilled to have that live and generally available for everyone out there, and customers already adopting. So
Very much so. So I think we should break it down. First, we have Citrix DaaS. We have Amazon WorkSpaces Core.
that's right.
Citrix DaaS is, in one sentence, how would you explain it?
Citrix DaaS is a desktop as a service offering. It's built on 35 years now of Citrix providing people flexible technology for new ways to work, right? And so if you recall, and I'm going to date myself a little bit here, back in the 90s when people would get off an airplane between flights and run to a payphone and plug in their computer and download email with a remote access server connection, that was Citrix, right? So way back then, we were helping people kind of do their job when they weren't in the office, and we've continued to, lean into that over the years. What we do with DaaS is help virtualize applications and desktops for customers, and protect the data and the apps that people need to access from wherever they are when they're working.
I love it. I just got a history lesson because I never knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
'Cause
I was actually flying
alive.
yesterday. I don't think I recall seeing any payphones in any of the terminals now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
they-
now you can just download it on the plane with Wi-Fi, but back then,
Yeah. Now you got to
You can
stay
do
in
it.
touch while you're on your flight.
that's right.
yeah, you can't just take a
Darn
nap.
connectivity.
You can't just take a nap is really the real fallout of that.
I
So we
remember
have
using Citrix back in the day for
Really?
a remote app. Yeah, believe it or not. I wasn't always this cool. I mean, Citrix really
Citrix is
enabled the
very
ability
cool.
to access applications without needing to have your computer, and it made traveling a lot easier. Instead of having to lug around a giant laptop, you can go to a library or something. Actually, a lot of my schooling used Citrix, now that I think about it.
I mean, if you go to the doctor ever, they're probably logging in to update your records through Citrix.
I try not to, but yeah, I'm
Financial
sure they are.
services companies as well. Like, a
Maybe
lot
you
of-
should, Kyle.
Maybe I
maybe consider the doctor as like a to-do list item for this.
For
before.
2026.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so we're taking Citrix DaaS and
Yes.
WorkSpaces Core,
Yes.
and we're blending them together
yes.
to make an awesome sauce of functionality and extensibility of something that you know and love to something that you're going to get to know and love, WorkSpaces, to create this flexibility.
Yes.
So I want to hear from the two of you, since Gigi, you can't interview yourself.
I
Gosh.
can't. I could probably, but I
So
shouldn't for everyone else's sake.
you'd be like, why is she talking to herself?
Yeah.
So what Citrix customers can use this new functionality with WorkSpaces Core?
That's right. I mean, for us, flexibility is a huge part of what we do for customers. I mean, the main things they'll say they use Citrix for is security, access to their applications, protecting their data. But we really like to talk about flexibility. And so WorkSpaces Core is an awesome place to run Citrix workloads. It was really built for virtualization products like ours, right? So we definitely wanted to tap into that and make sure that our products could run there, so our customers can use this great, powerful, scalable infrastructure meant for a product like ours from AWS. And so we're really excited to be there. I think we've already worked together, Gigi, with a lot of customers
Yes.
throughout this process. And I think the benefits that they talk about often are they think this is a big cost savings for them. They are getting really a flat rate expense for compute from AWS to run with us. They can bring their own Microsoft 365 and Office entitlements to it at no extra cost, which is a huge big deal on AWS. We've built this great rapid deployment process together. It's like a 5-step deployment process. I'm not super technical. I can even deploy our users onto WorkSpaces Core.
It's true. He can.
It is easy enough that I can do it.
Don't you just love that Gigi would call you out if you couldn't? I was just like, oh gosh.
And Todd, to fill one more gap, Citrix customers that have the universal license today can use it as soon as they're ready. It's available. It was in public tech preview earlier this year. Now it's GA as of mid-August. But anyone who has that license with you guys already.
Any one of our customers who has a DaaS license today can deploy users on WorkSpaces Core.
That's beautiful.
Pretty cool. And I think just one more piece to add. So we say on WorkSpaces Core, some of our viewers might know what WorkSpaces is, which is AWS's native desktop offering. We kind of chopped the head off and put Citrix on top and said, I like to think of it as like a little Lego man that now has a different face. So you can use the Citrix that you know and love, or exactly. If you want to just behead him for a second to show what that means. So you can use Citrix that you already have, those licenses you already have, but you get the back-end managed aspect that Amazon WorkSpaces Core offers. So like Todd said, that flat rate pricing that customers know and love on AWS, the pay-as-you-go pricing as well, the M365 benefits, the license included benefits of different OSs. There's so many pieces that together this opens up, I think, new use cases, cost savings use cases, and also everybody loves the Citrix's HDX protocol. So you get to benefit from Citrix's protocol, but with our managed, I like to call it virtual desktop infrastructure for VDI, which is not the proper name of that.
I think, we have a lot of customers having done this for 35 years around the world. And like I said, we're always trying to help them reimagine the way they're going to have their users, their employees work next, and how they want to enable them to work next. And we see this as like a really powerful next step in that conversation with customers too. So,
and I see what you did there, Todd. We see how it's powerful, and that's a perfect opportunity to segue into the awesome demo and show it.
Yeah.
And see what Todd went through to deploy it. But Gigi's going to be driving. So we have here Citrix DaaS for Amazon WorkSpaces Core.
Yes.
This is just AWS console. Cool.
Yes. So we're in the AWS console. You'll see if you look up Workspaces, we're in the Workspaces specific part of the AWS console. And then if you go down to core partnerships, that's WorkSpaces Core. Citrix is our big partner that we're highlighting today. And you'll see not only do you have, some information on what's happening, you have a little bit of an architecture here. So you'll see, if you can see that, it might be a little small in the diagram, but you link the accounts and then you do everything from the Citrix side. You can always come back to see it on the AWS console, but pretty much the whole point is you stay in Citrix once you get there and you benefit from the managed backend.
So that is awesome because you're making it so you don't need to become familiar with the AWS console or terms, right? You're still your Citrix operators, engineers, administrators, they could still use what they know and love and what they're familiar with.
Exactly.
So it's almost like proxying and puppeteering the AWS infrastructure, but from Citrix.
Exactly. So if we go over to the Citrix DaaS platform, you'll see here, this looks exactly the same no matter where you're running your Citrix DaaS. You can see, yes, you're doing a
Demo
demo
dance for you.
dance. Keep dancing just in case. Don't stop. But so we're in the Citrix DaaS console. You can see here we have some machines. I am in the Amazon EUC demo console. So you'll see Amazon's name up here and my full name, not Gigi, but Jillian. And if you come down to quick deploy, there's a whole section for the partnerships on Citrix DaaS. So we're going to go into WorkSpaces Core. And the first thing that we give you is what Todd talked about. We have a few steps to connect your AWS account with your Citrix account. And then from there on out, you're good to go. So you'll create that resource location with your cloud connectors, which is a classic Citrix piece of architecture. Then connect your AWS services account. Then pick your directory, which, it can live wherever you might need it to, but we use Active Directory here. And then some image import and deployment of desktops. So it sounds so easy, but let's see the details because I think it's actually pretty cool how simple it really is. I created a deployment earlier today. I think a highlight that is recent is you'll see here, we have different desktops that are available. So we have Windows
Did you just
7.
nonchalantly say I created a deployment today? Like it didn't take a lot of time. You're just like, I made a deployment
I'll
today.
create one right now. It'll be deployed by the time the show's over past 10 minutes, but that's okay. So you'll see here, there's actually a few features that I think are worth pointing out. Some of these have Win 10 in the name. So we have Windows 10 and Windows 11 BYOL options for the bundles that you can use in the OS. We also have server options. So server OS options, you'll see here, Server 2022. And then you'll also see there's multi-session in these names because we have single deployment and multi-session deployment based on your use case. So just a little teaser. We're going to do the quick walkthrough for deployments because I think that's a great way to talk about the features. One more piece to understand if you're new to workspaces in general, we have the different bundles based on your CPU and storage needs. So these are some of our standardized names for those bundles. All of those are available on the WorkSpaces Core pricing page to understand.
I was going to say that's the WorkSpaces nomenclature, not
Exactly.
a Citrix. Okay.
Yeah, so this is a WorkSpaces nomenclature that is now on Citrix. They did a really nice job picking and choosing what customers need to know while also making it, I think, true to your guys' interface. And then one more piece here that's worth pointing out is you can encrypt your workspaces. It's the same on all of the AWS workspaces offerings. So let's walk through it real quick and I'll talk about each piece. But we don't
There's
have
actually someone on the YouTube comments, which we're broadcasting to YouTube today, which is crazy to think about as well. So if you want to catch us on YouTube sometimes,
Amazing.
We're internationally known. When I'm on the microphone, they said that is awesome. Our whole team uses Citrix, and I see there's no time in the VDI till now, but I found the downtime on laptop. So I'm assuming their laptop went down, but their VDI was rocking solid.
That sounds about right to me.
Sounds about right.
So you'll see here with directory connections, you can have dedicated or shared. That's based on what type of OS you're using. So for some deployments, you might need dedicated hardware. AWS can handle that for you. You don't have to manage that at all. That's a benefit of the backend being WorkSpaces Core. But then also you can do shared tenancy on that hardware, which would offer up a multi-session offering as well. So we'll do dedicated just to play around a little bit. We'll go through images. We have a single session image, which is like, if you think of a gold standard, perfect image that you would want to vend to all of your users, that's what your image is that you're using here. So it's something that you create. You can see on the left-hand side, it says images. You can go in and create whatever you need that you want to vend to people. And then when you're in the deployment process, that's when you choose which image you want as that baseline image for your users. And since this is single session, those users are, it's their desktop. It's completely for them. They're going to always come back to whatever they do to change that desktop as it saves because it's persistent. Here you'll see that performance option. So we mentioned that before. This is an AWS nomenclature for the different bundles, but Citrix has descriptions for what your use case might be. So if you
I would
need,
say, because like I know in the docs it gives you like similar use cases for those, like we'll call them t-shirt sizes, right?
yes,
But I like that you don't need to go to the docs. It's right there. Hey, cool. This is what your use case is. Select this one.
yeah. And I think something that's really one of my favorite things to say is you guys just did such a good job making this pleasant,
We're
Todd.
just trying to keep it simple. 5
It's
steps.
just lovely.
5 steps or less. You know.
You make people's days better with the details that you add here. So you choose your performance level, you choose your root volume and user volume sizes. That's that storage data on the back end that's tracking everything that you do as a user. And you can pick which bundle you want there. Next, we choose encryption. So this is a classic AWS functionality where this, as a managed service on the back end, is offering encrypted volumes. So that's the root volume and user volume, storing your data. What you can do is use AWS managed KMS keys. So AWS can handle it all for you, and you can still have access to it, no problem. If you want to use a customer managed key, by all means, and you can use KMS to do that still. I'm going to keep AWS managing my keys, though, because I always lose them. And so then you select how you want to create your desktops. So you can create without assigning users. That's going to give flexibility to who ends up using the desktop, or you can assign to users while creating. And that's when you then, this directory is empty, but that's when you would choose your user that would directly be able to log in immediately as soon as it's spun up. Cool. So we can have not assigned, we'll spin up 2. We can edit the volume sizes if we beg to differ now. We'll name it GGB tester single session, and a little review of what we chose for our different features. And then we
moved away from test 1 2 1 2.
Yeah.
And try this one.
Maybe this one.
Maybe this
Hopefully
one.
this one. No. So this is my second one of the day. I did a multi-session. Now I did a single session. I think the real benefit here, like you said, though, this is going to take a minute. So I'm going to.
And so what's happening here is this is interacting with WorkSpaces Core to create the Citrix environment.
Yes.
So like if we were to look at the AWS account in CloudTrail, which is like the who, what, where, when, and how.
Yeah,
of,
you'll see it all there.
AWS, you'll see it like firing off, like creating resources and updating things.
Yes.
Cool.
And I think it's just a really sleek integration in that side. And like you said, a lot of times you might find the person who's doing this work in the Citrix DaaS console is really, really deep on Citrix, but maybe they don't want to learn like the deeper pieces of Amazon's other or AWS's other offerings like EC2 maybe, or other places that you could run a DaaS deployment like this. And so having it run on our managed service really brings that weight off their shoulders and lets them just run with it.
Yeah, this is an awesome offering. It's so easy. This is any one of our customers logs into their Citrix Cloud Console, they have access to this today. It's there for everybody. So I hope they will all start taking advantage of it immediately and give us feedback. We want to hear from you guys too on stuff to add. Some of the things that are in the GA offering now came up during that preview process. So please. Yes. Please share with us your thoughts.
Yeah. We want all the customer feedback. We want to hear in the chat if you're excited about this. We want you to go test it. It's available in your console. And also, we have documentation on both sides of the house, lots of blog posts, lots of webinars, all sorts of things happening to make sure any customer possible that might want to use this is getting their hands on it and giving it a go.
Well, it's not every day that I get to co-host with you, Gigi, but also get to pepper you with questions and actually have you do a demo. So I feel like I won the cup of co-hosting. Take that, AM, Adrian, everyone else.
Yeah, you did win. You did win. If there is a competition and you won. I want to thank Todd so much for coming and joining us. I know it's Friday. You're excited to go get into your spooky season out in Oregon because it's fall-like weather up here in the Pacific Northwest. But thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. I'll see you guys at the after party.
All right. Now, don't forget, folks, check out the survey. One, let us be known on how we're doing, what we can do better, what we can do in the future. Maybe you got some ideas for topics for the different segments or shows that we have for security, for startups, for under the hood, for game day, for sports. So we'll drop that link again. And speaking of sports, let me call down to Nick real quick, and he's going to come on and say howdy hi to everyone. Hey, Nick, come on video.
No, he's down
What was
here.
that?
No, he's up there.
What? Oh, sorry.
For all
Kyle,
those that didn't know,
we're actually roommates.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever knew that. Kyle and I are definitely roommates. Yep, totally. But yeah, so far we've only got, couple of responses here, 10, 20. So people apparently don't want me to be embarrassed at reInvent, I think. So I'm good with that. But if you guys do want to embarrass me at reInvent, go ahead and take the survey. It's only a couple of questions. We'll take 1 minute. I don't know about you guys, but I miss the days when I could take standardized tests, and these surveys, just fill that desire for me every week.
Where you and I have very
questions,
different opinions.
There's nothing better.
Nothing's better than filling out a Scantron, right? Just the existential dread that comes with it. I
always wonder how many questions I got wrong because I didn't fill in the bubble either accurately enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
You start running out of pencil lead, you don't have the sharpener, and you're like, am I filling these in dark enough? Or if you changed your answer and you're trying to erase it and you don't have a good eraser, then you're like, does it still look filled in? So I just I'm going to get it wrong anyway. It's the whole thing.
Nick, when I said you should relive your collegiate days, I didn't mean like the standardized tests. I meant speaking of your victories. Yeah, like your athleticism, not standardized testing. Gosh.
Yeah, well, the standardized testing might go better.
Athlete Kyle, student comes first. Okay.
Student athlete.
What did you choose in the pick three triangle or pick two triangle? Is it school, sports, social life?
Yeah, I mean,
we
all know that I have no
sports and social life.
It's not even a debate. That's why I read surveys every Friday, which people should take. See how we made that come full circle?
Oh, yes. There we go. Guys, and we brought it back again.
You pumped for reInvent this year? Because I think let's drop that in the chat again too. Here, get people to register.
How about none of the above? What if we weren't in the triangle, but we were in a square? We were in a box somewhere else.
I was in a circle. I had no point. I think that
answers so many different questions that
it really does.
It really does. But everybody should join us at reInvent this year. We're gonna have a live booth. If you walk into the expo hall and you're like, "Where's AWS OnAir?" Look for the massive crowd of people cheering, crying tears of joy. You'll see a bunch of extremely good-looking people, and then Kyle. That is the AWS OnAir booth.
Listen, I know I have a face for radio. It's fine. I've accepted where I reside in life.
Yeah, you can come say hi to us live. There's so many cool demos. Get your hands-on with some of the tech that we work on with ourselves, with our partners. You'll be able to see our show live, run behind camera, say hi to your mom. It's going to be a fun time. Definitely register for reInvent. It's always a blast every year.
My mom's totally coming to reInvent too.
Oh, then she definitely needs to make a guest
just to be a stage mom.
Yes.
No technical content.
We need to try to get her to make a sign walk behind you when you're hosting.
Go Gigi.
That's my daughter.
That's my daughter while being overwhelmed by crowds and technology talk.
Absolutely. If we can get her to add a photo from second grade, that would be even more
Oh yeah, we can get some peak tooth gap photos.
Yes, absolutely.
Really bringing the good stuff.
Oh,
all right, are we?
And in the photo was wearing hiking boots and a skateboard.
Was this last year?
Yeah,
it was actually earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring that photo. I promise. I will embarrass myself for the sake of entertainment.
Perfect. Well, guys, I think we've had a great show. I think we've run a little bit long, but super interesting stuff, guys. Take the survey, join us for reInvent, register for that event. Kyle, why don't you take us out with another one of your classic songs and dances?
I could see it in your eyes. I could see it in your smile.
Feel it.
Just hang up the phone. Nicholas, let us go home.
Where's my...